Good evening. I'm Tom Haynes, and this is Melissa Rudinger, and we're live at the historic Terminal A at Washington National Airport here in the nation's capital in what is a beautiful evening.
This is a beautiful venue. I believe this building goes back to the 40s. I think President Roosevelt actually laid the cornerstone, but a wonderful place to have the Hoover Trophy Award. Obviously, we're awarding it to Sean D. Tucker. We've been publicizing that. And this is the second time we've awarded it. And there are a lot of aviation luminaries here, and we had the opportunity to chat with a few of them before the awards show starts.
We did, and here's your chance to see them too. So Kurt, tell us about your connection to Sean.
Well, I actually met Sean a few years ago at an air show out at the Manassas Regional Airport here right outside of Washington, D.C.
And he's an inspiration for a lot of us. What's his flights mean to you?
Well, when you look at what Sean has done for the aviation community, he really inherited the legacy from Bob Hoover to now begin to motivate the next generation of pilots that are going to be inspired by him, by what he's done, by obviously the enthusiasm that Sean has is just unbelievable. And he really does. He is that example out there where people look to him and say, you want to know something? I want to do that. I want to learn how to fly like he does. And it really is. It's teaching those young men and women that nothing is beyond their goals.
All right, thanks, Kirk. And Melissa, over to you.
So I'm here with Mark Baker, President and CEO of the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association. Mark, this is our second annual Bob Hoover Award. We gave the award to Bob Hoover last year. Tell me about how this award came about.
This award came about by all of us who have been around aviation for a long time. Recognize how special Bob was. We asked Bob, a while ago, said, would you like to have this thing be memorized forever so that you can impart your thoughts about what it takes to be a great aviator, giving back aviation forever. So one of the reasons we taped him last year at Oshkosh was so that he'll be presenting this award in perpetuity. So I can't think of a better person to present the Bob Hoover Award than Bob Hoover.
That's a wonderful, wonderful story. Tell me another story about Bob Hoover, one that you think either would entertain us or inform us about what kind of man he was.
Well, there are so many Bob Hoover stories, best told by Bob Hoover, by the way, if you ever had the chance. He was an incredible storyteller. And yet I can tell you the guy had a personality that just kept the audience and people riveted to want to hear about whether it was World War II, what he did flying, the Strike Commander. But I have spent more than my fair share of time with Bob at a bar, and holy mackerel, even when he was in his young 90s, it was impossible to keep up with that guy. Impossible. 2 a.m., 3 a.m., until it was over, Bob was there.
Great story. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Melissa.
Tom, back to you.
So, Greg, you were the inspiration of the one behind the Hoover Trophy originally, the one over at the Air and Space Museum. How did that come about?
Well, we wanted to honor Bob Hoover, and we wanted to honor his legacy, and we knew that Bob was getting a bit older, and we were trying to think of where could we put a statue of him, what airport, some FBO somewhere or something. Yep. We thought, well, maybe the National Air and Space Museum. And I called Jack Daly up and said, Jack, I know it's unusual. You only have a statue of one other aviator in the museum, but could we get a statue of Bob Hoover in the National Air and Space Museum? And that started the momentum to get Bob's statue in there, and we had the first award 1 year ago, April of last year.
So Bob's been a lot of inspiration for a lot of us. How about for you? How did you cross paths with Bob?
Well, like so many people, I crossed paths with Bob at an air show. Yep. And I saw him perform. I was amazed. I had the good fortune to be standing right where he taxied his airplane up with the engines off, and he got out, waved his hat, and I went, oh my God, that guy's incredible. Yep. What an inspiration for me and for so many other people.
Absolutely. Thanks, Greg. And Melissa, now back to you again.
I'm here with John Cudahy, President of the International Council of Air Shows. And John, tell us what Bob meant to your organization and to sport flying.
Well, for the modern air show industry, he was sort of iconic. He was a role model for many of the people in the 60s and 70s who became the trailblazers for the modern air show industry, including Sean Tucker, who was considered Bob a mentor and a close friend.
I think it's really exciting that Sean is getting the second award, and that it's such an honor. And can you tell us any stories about Bob Hoover that you'd like to share with the audience on lessons on life that he provided to you?
Well, a couple. Bob at one of our events several years ago, when talking about accidents and how to survive them, said, "Be sure to fly what's left of the plane until it stops moving." And I made the observation shortly after Bob passed away that he lived his life that way. Really, that he wrung every little bit out of life and was living a very full life right until the day that he passed.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing.
You bet.
Tom, back to you.
So, John and Martha, how did you come to know Bob and Sean?
Wow, we've known Bob for 20 some years, and I can't recall how we got to know him. Sean used to be on the board of directors, Lindbergh Foundation, when we were there. But the thing about Bob, people describe him as the greatest stick and rudder man ever, which is probably true, but it's so short of what he is. He was kind, gracious, cooperative, good-natured, giving, just a wonderful human being.
We're not going to get out of here alive, and what really counts is the gifts we give to others as we're passing through. And Bob was huge about sharing his experience, his knowledge, his intuition in an airplane with other people, his graciousness at living. And Sean D. Tucker is going to carry on that tradition beautifully. I mean, he already has for many years, and it's really wonderful to see him get this recognition.
It really is. Big shoes to fill, but I think he's going to do that well.
There's nobody more energetic, enthusiastic. He makes me feel sleepy all the time because he's so much more energetic than I am. And he's got that same contribution philosophy. Sean is looking for ways to be a contributor to our community, and he's doing a wonderful job of it.
Yes. All right, John and Martha, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us tonight. Now we'll go back to Melissa.
Hi, I'm here with Randy Babbitt, former FAA administrator, and you're a longtime friend of Bob Hoover. Can you tell me how that friendship came about?
Yeah, I have a longtime friend. I saw Bob fly when I was 16 years old. I was a line boy at Opelika Airport, and they did an air show, and I was fascinated by him and followed his career, and I was blessed to be able to meet him later in life.
Do you have a favorite story you'd like to share with us about Bob?
Well, we had a lot of fun times. We had an occasion one time we flew with Harrison Ford in his airplane, and Harrison turned around and said, "Not that there's any real pressure on me. I've just got Bob Hoover back there and the FAA administrator." So we thought that was pretty funny. But he told me one time, he said, I remarked to him that we had such a nice relationship, and he'd had a lot of squabbles with the FAA, but he got along fine with me. And I said, "How come?" And he said, "Because you're the only FAA administrator never tried to take my license." So
that's a great story. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're sure welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom, back to you.
So, Adrian, you've flown around the world and been inspiration to a lot of people because of that, but Bob Hoover has inspired a lot of people. Do he ever inspire you?
Oh, absolutely. I look back to the early days of Oshkosh, Tom, the late 80s, early 90s, and watching his airport show performance. And as you know, you and I were at the Wright Brother Memorial Dinner together, and we got to listen to him be interviewed by David Hartman. Very inspiring. I look at what he accomplished in his lifetime. Is just one of the all-time great aviators in our history. So, absolutely.
And Sean is big shoes to fill there, don't you think?
Huge shoes, but I think the epitome of a showman, and just fantastic. I remember the first time I saw Sean Tucker at Oshkosh, and I'd seen aerobatic routines year after year after year, and all of a sudden I saw him perform his Harrier maneuver, and I thought, he's just, not only is he pushing the airframe to the limits, but he's pushing the engine to the limits. And I don't think I've ever missed one of his shows. And my father, when he was alive, was able to be one of his pole holders. So we have the little pole holder union pin that he gave out back then. So great individual, great motivator to all of us. I think he's one of the great motivators of this century for aviation. Just really cool.
All right, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Tom.
Melissa, back to you.
I'm here with Congressman Sam Graves, a very important congressman for aviation and also a pilot, aircraft owner. Can you tell us about the GA Caucus and how it got started?
The GA Caucus, we started that a few years ago, obviously to advocate for general aviation on the Hill, and we've It's the largest caucus on the Hill now, and we also have brought in all of the groups. Everything from the largest group, AOPA, all the way down to some of our smaller groups like, Ag Aviation or the Anti-Aircraft Association. So everything in between, and obviously we work for those issues that are important to all of us.
And in addition to all the important work you do there, as I mentioned, you're a pilot, and you knew Bob Hoover. Can you tell me about how you met him, or what he meant to you?
Bob Hoover was one of my favorite people of all time, and he was obviously a master at flying, and he understood, how aerodynamics worked, and he showed us it can be safe for everybody. But Bob was just a great individual, and he was one of my favorite people of all time, and one of my idols as a young pilot and looking up to people. He was one of the people that that I wanted to strive to be like.
Well, thank you for sharing that. It sounds like he meant a lot. And before I let you go, you have an annual fly-in. Can you just tell the audience a quick information about that, when that takes place and where?
Absolutely. It's called the Wingnuts Flying Circus. It's a big air show, major air show, in July 8th at Tarkio, Missouri, Kilo 57. And it'll be a big event. We'll have all of the aviation groups there, too. We always have a big aviation town hall to talk about the issues that are going on in Congress at the time. So it's a fun event. I hope everybody can come out.
Great. Thank you so much. Back to you, Tom.
So, Michael, you've known Bob for a long time, a good, close personal friend. Tell me about your remembrances of Bob.
Well, the first thing is, I saw him flying back in Reading Airport, 1964 or 5, in that era, and it didn't occur to me about what I really saw. I mean, I knew all the tricks, but the bottom line was, when I really got to know him personally, it was about who he was. He was a gentleman. Always walked around the car to open the door for his wife, Colleen. He would stop to speak to children eye to eye, and nobody could disturb him. There were the qualities. He never had a bad word to say about anybody, although I did. And so what I learned from Bob was about being a human being and who you are as it applies to the world. And of course, what he gave back to aviation, to all of us in aviation, is a lasting memory. Yeah. So we have some instructions. When I say we, a few of us and Bob started a legacy foundation in his name to promote children or adults in school and colleges to learn aviation. Right. And he just wanted everybody to know, anybody watching this, that you can become anything you want to become, because he did it, and he did it well.
So, Dorothy, you have some really fantastic memories of Bob, including a great story that I've heard before. Tell us about how his airplane got to the Air and Space Museum where it's on display.
Well, Bob had the airplane down at the Sun and Fun Museum. We didn't have any place to put it when he first donated it to us. So he was going to fly it up from Florida. So all the way up from Florida, the air traffic controllers talked to him and brought him into Dulles. And as he approached Dulles, he asked the tower if he could do a flyby of the Don Engen Tower at the Udvar Hazy Center. So they gave him instructions what to do, and he went around, did that, came back around and landed, and then taxied over to the gate that separates us from the active taxiways. And once he got through that gate, he put the pedal to the metal or the throttle to the metal, and he just fast taxied down there around a couple of corners until he came to the entrance, the north entrance of the Hazy Center, which is a wide hangar door. And standing there waiting for him to deliver the aircraft was our director, Jack Daly, and deputy director, Don Lopez. And they were standing just outside, and he came flying literally along, blew right by them, and taxied into the Udvar Hazy Center north doors. They were aghast, flabbergasted, and he just pulled it up, put on the brakes, got out, put on his Panama hat, and said, "How you doing, Jack? Here's the airplane."
Showman all the time.
That was his taxi to Air Show Center. That was what he did at the end of every performance, and he was going to deliver that plane directly into the Udvar Hazy Center.
So probably the only airplane to ever taxi right into the museum.
It is the only one, and it will be the only one. Right. No one else will ever do that.
And you've known Sean a long time as well.
Oh yeah, Sean and I have known each other for many years. I mean, I've held the poles for him. I've been so lucky to be able to do that at numerous air shows. And he's a terrific guy, because you watch him as he's gone from just being an air show performer, which in itself is marvelous technically and everything you have to do, but now he's gathering more, interest in seeing what can be done about encouraging people not only to go into aerospace, but to help a lot of young people really work on their lives and just help give them some direction. So he's really developed, you know, some other facets that really make it important, I think, for him and his own legacy now that he's building.
All right, Dorothy, thanks for taking the time to talk with us. Taxiing his Shrike Commander into the hangar at the Air and Space Museum at Udvar Hazy Center over in Washington. Pretty incredible.
Very, very fitting considering how he ended his routines.
Yeah, actually, it's what you'd expect from Bob, I guess.
It is. I didn't know Bob the way a lot of the folks here knew him, but I will never forget my first air venture, then Oshkosh, and watching him perform.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to get started here in a couple of minutes.
We're about to start the awards presentation, so here we go.
Introduce you to your host, a 5-time Emmy Award winner, a pilot, and world-famous air show announcer, Rob Ryder.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable members of Congress and distinguished guests, my name is Rob Ryder, and on behalf of the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, I want to welcome each and every one of you to the second annual Bob Hoover Awards. Just about a year ago, at the Stephen F. Udvar Hazy Center, National Air and Space Museum at Dulles Airport, with Bob Hoover surrounded by several hundred of his friends, a life-sized bronze statue of R.A. Bob Hoover joined Bob's Shrike Commander on permanent display. That night, the first annual Bob Hoover Award was awarded to, of course, the Hoov. Tonight, we will award the second annual Bob Hoover Award. Sadly, as you know, he's no longer with us, but AOPA is proud to be the keeper of the flame. I am so honored to be able to be here tonight because I have had the opportunity to work with tonight's recipient. I met Mr. Hoover on several occasions but did not get to know him, but I did learn some things about him that you may know. And both Bob Hoover and Sean D. Tucker overcame significant roadblocks to reach the point in their careers that they did. Bob Hoover, when he first learned to fly, got sick every time he got up in the air. And yet he persevered time after time, first doing loops and then rolls, until he overcame that motion sickness problem. Sean D. Tucker also overcame a big roadblock. When he got his private license, he was afraid of the airplane. And so he took up aerobatics to overcome that fear. And now, as you know, Sean D. Tucker is a household name in our industries and along with Bob Hoover, they are recognized as the best of the best. When I first got involved in the air show industry as a volunteer back in the 1980s, Sean D. Tucker was also already a household name among air show performers. He was a big star, and I owe him a huge debt of gratitude. His influence and support helped me to become a full-time announcer in the air show business and to make a living in this incredible industry. I'm living the dream because of a handful of people. Others are here tonight as well. But Sean D. Tucker, I thank you very much for making it possible for me to do this. Another friend of mine in the air show business said something that I've latched on to for the last umpteen years since I heard it. My heroes are now my friends. Bob Carlton said that, and I am forever grateful for him saying that. And Sean D. Tucker was my hero, and he is now my friend, and I thank you again, Sean D. Tucker. I'm honored to announce for him, and I am honored to be your master of ceremonies tonight. We are going to give away a number of awards, and we're going to start with the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association Freedom to Fly Award. They are given to members of Congress who, through their actions and strong support, have demonstrated a commitment and preserve general aviation across the country. We want to thank each and every one of them for their service and dedication to protect the great endeavor that is flying. And handing out the Freedom to Fly Awards tonight is AOPA President Mark Baker. Please welcome Mark. As I call the recipients' names, when you hear your name, please come up to the right side of the stage and receive your award, shake hands with Mark, and do your photo op, and then you can exit the opposite side of the stage. I'd like to first welcome the gentleman who helped lead the effort to pass a law in Congress to get Bob Hoover's medical, and I should say pilot's license back in 2000. He is sponsor of the Pilot's Bill of Rights II, sponsor, a General Aviation Caucus member. He's the Senate Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee Aviation Subcommittee Chair, and he is James Inhofe. James, come on up. Next, Todd Rokita. He is a pilot. He's on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, Aviation Subcommittee. He's a General Aviation Caucus member and sponsor of Pilot's Bill of Rights II. Todd Rokita, come on up. Next is Daniel Lipinski, U.S. Representative for Illinois' 3rd Congressional District. He's a General Aviation Caucus member, Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, Aviation Subcommittee, and sponsor of Pilot's Bill of Rights II. Come on up. Next is Don Young, the U.S. Representative for Alaska's at-large Congressional District, General Aviation and Caucus member, Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, Aviation Subcommittee member, and Pilot's Bill of Rights II co-sponsor. Don Young, come on up. Next is Steve Pierce, U.S. Representative for New Mexico's 2nd Congressional District. He is a pilot, a General Aviation Caucus member, and a Pilot's Bill of Rights II co-sponsor. Thank you, Steve Pierce. And another gentleman that I want to introduce to you, and I've known Sam for quite some time, but he is Sam Graves, U.S. Representative for Missouri's 6th Congressional District. He is a Warbird pilot as well as a GA pilot, and what a great guy he is. A staunch supporter of general aviation and a member of the member of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, Aviation Subcommittee, and sponsor of Pilot's Bill of Rights II, Sam Graves. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I will officially introduce to you Mark Baker. Let me tell you a little bit about the AOP president. He's a longtime general aviation pilot and the 5th president in the 77-year history of the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association. Prior to his appointment at AOPA, the Minnesota native served in numerous executive roles, including Chief Operating Officer at Scott's Miracle-Gro Company, President and CEO of outdoor outfitter Gander Mountain Company, and the Chief Merchandising Officer and Executive Vice President for the Home Depot. More recently, he served as the CEO of Orchard Supply Hardware Stores Corporation, a leading retailer of home improvement and garden products. Having relied on general aviation for his personal and business transportation for many years, Mark still prefers to fly low and slow in his Super Cub, which he equips with floats or skis according to the season. Please welcome, if you will, Mark Baker.
Very kind. Good evening. And thanks for coming out here to the second Bob Hoover Award. I think this is a great venue. How about you? Aviation event in D.C. But as we celebrate tonight, and we celebrate a great man's passing and a great man's life, and yet the legacy of aviation lives on. We think about how AOPA has been around for 77 years, soon to be 78 years. It's not accidental the importance that we've had and support we've had in this great Congress to make sure we have the freedom to fly. So tonight we're going to recognize a few folks from their extraordinary work in helping preserve this freedom to fly, which is really important, and we thank everybody at Capitol Hill for their support in general aviation. So let's get to some of these things right now. What do we got here? We'll be opening the award with the Presidential Citation. It's an award that we recognize internally at AOPA for what we call making a real difference in aviation in the local community. We have the Hartranft Award, which we'll talk about in a minute, the Sharpless Award, and of course, we all know the winner of the Bob Hoover Award. Yeah, baby. Does that help? Okay. And we have Woody Lesker here tonight. We have Congressman Todd Rokita to accept another award. Pat Hartness could not make it here tonight. And we'll have Sean, of course, to talk in a few moments. But let's honor them today. So let's get started with some of these awards. Woody Lesker is a guy that I've gotten to know over the last couple of years. Is something that's very different. He actually started at the age of 26 and built his own airport. Didn't use federal dollars, didn't use city dollars. He started out, and now today, this general aviation operation in West Houston has over 100,000 operations annually, over 400 based aircraft there. Woody has also been really generous with support of AOPA initiatives, general aviation initiatives, making the airport friendly, making it cost effective, making a real difference for that part of West Houston. And we want to honor Woody Lesker. Would you come to the stage, please? Where are you, Woody? Thanks for what you do. Thank you very much. So tonight, who won't be here is Pat Hartness, and if you've ever been to his aerodrome in that's part of South Carolina called Triple Tree. Pat has made an investment in acres and acres and acres, the largest grass strip I know of in America, over 7,000 feet. He built this aerodrome to celebrate aviation, to invite people to camp and stay with their aircraft, to share ideas about building aircraft, how you do safety seminars, all the things that he has done in that part of South Carolina and his family need to be recognized. And the Sharpless Award is really important. It's a heritage of AOPA. And to this guy who couldn't be here tonight, but we want to thank a good round of applause for the Hartness and the Hartness family. So thank you. The next award, Todd, you might as well make your way up this way, is a Hartranft Award, which is also a very special award that AOPA has had. It's named after AOPA's first president. Doc Hartranft is given away annually to an elected official that has made a real difference in making general aviation accessible, safe, affordable, and keeping the freedom to fly alive. So Congressman Todd Rokita, as we just learned earlier, is a general aviation pilot, but he's been involved with Veterans Airlift, Angel Flights, all the things that he's done. He's in the fourth term of Congress. He is a real standout citizen as it relates to making a difference in general aviation. So thank you, Todd.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it very much.
So, I'd also like to thank, this is the hardest part of the evening, actually, for me personally, because I rarely like to thank Greg Herrick. He's a long-time pal, but he was also part of putting this trophy together, the Bob Hoover Trophy, and making sure that we pulled the groups together that supported the first trophy, making sure that we could get the support. And then the idea of the continuation for AOPA to take it on, I have to give Greg some credit, which is really very hard for me to do. You got to know that. Anyway,
This award this evening is the Bob Hoover Trophy, and I can't think of anybody that makes it better. So I want you to see this film here for real quick. I'm going to cut to the film.
There's not a man nor a woman in this room who, when we grow up, don't want to be just like R.A. Bob Hoover.
Jimmy Doolittle said that Bob Hoover was the greatest stick and rudder man that ever lived, and if you ever saw him fly, you would say the same thing. But Bob Hoover wouldn't say that.
I was the most least likely person to ever become a pilot, or a good one. And I just must tell you that I feel very humble about it all. I had a lot of people encouraging me.
And Bob paid that encouragement forward.
It was this, his ability and desire to share lessons and hear about yours. It was obvious that Bob was all about giving back and making others better, as opposed to pontificating and talking about himself.
No matter who you were, if you were interested in aviation, Bob had all the time in the world for you.
Best ever outlook and attitude towards other people, including all other pilots. Treated generals and line service personnel as equals.
And because Bob was so willing to share, hundreds, maybe thousands of pilots are alive today.
One of the best things that ever happened to the United States Air Force was when he got out. Because in his capacity as a civilian, he was able to influence more pilots and save more pilots' lives than anybody else.
But you know what? I think his true legacy is not those incredible flying skills or what he taught us about grace and humility. His true legacy is all of us, a generation of people who have shaped their lives and what he taught us, and we'll now pass that on to the next generation.
You know, the most important thing that any aviator can do is encourage others to want to fly. And the best way to do that is to be very humble, very supportive of what they're doing, and make certain that they are passing along, that you don't have to be Superman to fly an airplane, but you need to be understanding of the people that you're flying for and the people you're trying to encourage to become good aviators.
The Bob Hoover Award will be presented each year to an aviator that best exemplifies Bob's airmanship, leadership, mentorship, and passion for aviation.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to present an award in my name to these great people who are following in my footsteps.
Presented each year to a living aviator who exhibits airmanship, leadership, and passion for aviation, and the life demonstrated by Bob R.A. Hoover during his distinguished career as a pilot, aviation advocate, while also serving as a source of inspiration for all of us and encouragement for current and prospective aviators. So appropriately, when we were filming Bob last summer in this idea of he in perpetuity presenting this award, he had one request, and the rest of the committee absolutely concurred, which was, he said, the second Hoover Trophy has to go to Sean Tucker. And that was his words. Sean, would you come up here? We could not agree more.
me get my tears away. I'm speechless. I can't believe I can't even say yeah, baby. Just a dear, dear friend, a dear man. To be in the arena, to be able to do these aerobatics and to share that magic is such a delicious, magnificent feeling. It's almost a disease. It's so addictive to be able to be a performer. And I flew my first air show 41 years ago. But I'm alive today because I had a guy, I remember at the show, it was in Redmond, Oregon in the mid-'80s, and I finally made the big time. I'm flying with Bob Hoover. And I had some big time, and for me, it was huge. There he is in his Cadillac in his suit. He just got done flying, or he's right before he's flying, he's reading the Wall Street Journal. I go running up, knocking on the window, Mr. Hoover, Mr. Hoover. Yes, can I help you? I said, oh, my name's Sean Tucker, and I'm flying in the air show. Well, you are? Well, I got to go to work in a few minutes, but I'd love to talk to you. Come on in. I get in the car, and I'm telling him about my airplane. I'm telling him about everything, and I'm telling him about what a hero he is. And he says, and I was asking him a question. He says, well, Sean, really tell me why you want to fly. I says, because I just love the dance, Bob. And he says, well, more importantly, you got to love the people you're flying with and you're flying for. I go, why is that, Bob? And he goes, because if you hurt yourself, you'll steal their dreams away from them. You'll steal their dreams forever. So if you ever fly because you want to show off, quit right now. And that really moved me. And then a couple years came by, and he kept his eye on me. And he would come up to me, and we started developing a friendship. And one time he said, Sean, you're doing magnificent, just magnificent. But the way you're cutting those ribbons, you keep cutting them that way, you're going to bust your buttons. And when Bob Hoover says you're going to bust your buttons, he's got those big Coke bottle glasses, and you can see his eyeballs. You know you're going to bust your buttons. And he says, just move it up 10 feet, and you'll be fine. And I did. And our friendship developed after that. I had 30 years of mentorship from this man, of learning what it was, the reverence for the art form of the dance in the sky, to share that magic of flight and do it safely. But more importantly, what I received from Bob is he helped define me as a human being. He was my mentor, but boy, was he a lot of fun to play with. He loved everything about life, and he loved every human being. No matter how beat up he was, no matter how sore he was, he always said, well, I'm fine, now tell me about you. He wanted to know about you. He never left one stone unturned not to make this world a better place. I am so humbled and honored to receive this award in that vein. I am no Bob Hoover, okay? I can't be. There's only one of those guys, and he's of the greatest generations on earth. But I can be the best Sean Tucker I can ever be. I can be part of this team, us in this room, and I can't believe it. All these congressmen were here, and they didn't hear one speech. It was awesome, but boy, they're doing great work. I mean, it's just, just great work. And part of this team, and this precious jewel we have called aviation, that inspires these kids. I mean, I am so stunned when I taxi back and see the joy on these kids' faces. We're the first touch point, and now with EAA, we've flown 2 million kids. With ALPA and You Can Fly initiatives, what NBAA is doing to help kids in business aviation, what Gamma's doing with the local Aviation Community Foundation. Check it out, helping these small nonprofits grow. This is a true movement that we have. This is a true movement we have. And we can be the best we can be, using Bob as a metaphor to help us do the heavy lift. And then together, we can be as good as Bob Hoover. So I'm so honored to be the second recipient. I will not let you down, I promise. God bless America. Thank you.
And I get to announce for this guy. He had one announcer for 25 years. And when Brian Norris left to go out on his own, I got picked by Sean D. Tucker to announce. And that's so cool. And I thank you, Sean D. Hey, we did miss one person, and I apologize for this. I am very embarrassed. One of the Freedom to Fly Awards was missed. John Bozeman is here. He's the co-chair of the Senate General Aviation Caucus, Pilots Bill of Rights 2 sponsor. He is the United States Senator from Arkansas. John Bozeman, come on up, sir. My apologies. Thank you, sir. That puts a wrap on the program. It is 8:30. We started a little late. I don't think anybody ever got upset about a program that ran short. We're pleased that you are all here. Last call, 9:30. Enjoy the bar, enjoy the food, and thank you for attending this second annual Bob Hoover Awards. Good night, everyone.